Yes, so the meeting is in presentation mode, so your microphones are locked right now just so that I can kind of get things started. I will once I've reached a point where I can take questions, where we've gone through a little bit, then I'll be happy to unlock those so we can take any questions that you guys have. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And while I'm going through this, if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat channel. I know that Sonia is listening in also, and we have a couple of people, a couple of other support staff from Infold who are in the channel who will be helping out catching questions. And for anyone who needs me to, I can go back and check those after we've gone through this stuff, and I can answer those questions for you. So welcome everybody. My name is Dean Davis. I'm one of the support specialists with Infold, and yeah, I want to welcome you to your new Ploud sites. And Ploud is short for Public Libraries on the Cloud. I know we've gone through a couple of iterations of branding on this, and we appreciate your patience with us as we figure out, what our favorite name is. But we're here now. We're in the clouds. So you should have gotten your over the last week. You should have gotten your help desk activation email, and that would get you into the site that you should see on your screen now. And that's going to give you access to lots of different ways to talk to us. We have, you can see, and your view will look a little bit different because you'll be logged in as one of the customers as opposed to one of the agents. But what you'll see is options for tickets, solutions, and forums. Those are the main parts of the help desk, and they're each a different way to get information from us about using your site and problems that you have with your site or features that you want to request on your site. And so just quickly, what we're going to be going through today is a bunch of information that's all located in the solutions part of the help desk. So what we refer to as our knowledge base. And as you can see on the left-hand side here, there's a growing number of articles posted on here, and from all sorts of things, from adding new users to how to change your site's URL, as well as helpful instructions on how to do a bunch of things on your site, like adding portlets or resizing text and images, things like that. And if there's anything that you need help with that there's not an article on, we welcome that feedback so we can help by adding in any information that you're missing, or that we're missing, that would help you rather. So that's the solutions tab, our knowledge base. And then you also have the forums, which is a place where we can have discussions about things that you might not know whether it's an issue or a problem, or you might just want to give us feedback. And as you can see, there's a number of people who have already started asking us questions in here, and just about things that they're having trouble with or they want to know more about. And so we welcome you anytime you have a question. Feel free to come in and ask us about it in our forums. And so if we don't have an article posted about the thing you're looking for, and you want direct help, then you can always go and log a new support ticket, and there's articles in the knowledge base that will help you out on what kind of information we're looking for, and the form should hopefully be pretty self-explanatory when you do click in it, and of course we'll be there to help you figure out what it is you're looking for and what it is we can give you. So I just wanted to kind of do a quick overview of those tools for being in contact with us and getting the help that you need, since this is a new system for everybody. So you should have received an activation email for your account on the help desk within the last week. If you didn't, then you can please contact us. Let us know that you need access, and we'll help you get that. Yesterday we sent out emails welcoming everybody to their new sites, and you should have seen all of the library directors should have gotten an email with your login URL and your username and password. And so I know I've heard from a number of people who didn't get those, and I believe that some of that is because the email address that it's sending from looks a little bit spammy because it's through a service that I'm sending these out. So some people's emails blocked those, and if that did happen to you, just let me know. Or I know a number of people have contacted Sonia, and she's forwarded those to me. So yeah, just contact us whatever way makes sense for you, and we'll get you your credentials for your new site as soon as we can. I do apologize to the people who had to wait a little while to get those requests processed yesterday. As soon as I've been pushing those out as fast as I can. So with that, I want to, I guess, start showing you around. I've got a couple of example sites up here. These are sites that we have. These are internal copies of sites that we've migrated for various other folks, and I'll use these as examples to show you some of the stuff that I'm talking about as we're going through this site configuration checklist. And the reason I want to go through this checklist is to introduce a number of tasks and topics that you may not know to think about, or you may not know how to think about as you're getting oriented on your new site. And they're, I guess, tasks that will help you get your site closer to where you want it to be quickly. I know a lot of people have asked for instruction on kind of a Ploud 101, like how to use different things around the site, and I will try to incorporate some of that, and especially once I've kind of run through this checklist, then I'll open up for questions, and we can kind of do a little bit more unstructured conversation there. So the first couple things on this checklist are related to making sure that, first of all, you've got your user account on your site. Everyone on staff at your library also has their accounts ready. Now, we should have everybody who was a user in your old system should be a user in your new site. So if that is not the case, then the directors who got their usernames and passwords sent out yesterday should be able to add those users. And it's a fairly simple process, I hope. And again, if you need help with any of it, we welcome you to log a ticket with us, and we can help you out with that. Even if it's just, hey, I'm trying to add a user, I don't know how to do it. Help me out. So I guess first of all, what you'll want to do is log in. And so let me show you how to do that. Now, the link that you received from us should have taken you to something that looks like this form. So pretty straightforward. And so, and real quick, I'll show you that before I log in, if I do end up on the home page of my site and I need to log in from there, if I scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, you'll see that there's a staff login down here. We had that kind of up higher before, and what we found was that the visitors to the website, the people who are coming to the library, were trying to log into their library card accounts using that. We're getting a lot of emails saying, hey, my library card's not working. So we wanted to put it somewhere where it's a little bit more out of the way so that that happens less. So once you have logged in, you'll be taken to your home page. And so if you want to do a variety of things with the users in your site, so adding new users and resetting passwords are two of the kind of the first things that you want to be looking at. What you can do is you'll go up to this button over here that says your username. It has a little arrow, and this indicates that there's a drop-down menu under it. So when you open that up, you'll have a bunch of choices, and you can go down to Site Setup, and this is kind of like the administrative menu. That's your right now when you have access to this, you can do a whole lot of stuff that's very technical. But you'll go to the users and groups page, and down here, and what you should see is all of the users, all of the accounts that you had in your old system should be here. And so along with that, anyone who needs help resetting their password, you can just go over and you see there's a column here for reset password, and you can just check that for any user who needs that done. And then once you've got that done, you can just come down and you click Apply Changes, and what it'll do is it'll send an email out to them that will give them instructions on how to reset their password and help them do that. So if anyone's having trouble logging in any of the other staff at your libraries, then that's something that you can do to help them. And if you want to add a new user, there's, if someone was missed in the migration or something like that, then you can just come down here and a form will come up, and you can enter their information here. And then just make sure that you send them a confirmation email with a link to set their password so that they can do that. There's a number of groups that you can add them to. Each one of these has a different set of permissions, so they're able to do different things around the site. And in our article on how to add a new user, there's a link to the article on understanding user roles, and that will kind of give you a rundown on what it means to be a site administrator, what it means to be a contributor, things like that. That'll help you get a little bit more oriented about like what each individual user type is for. Okay, and viewer 26. Let's see. You said your choices. Let's see. My choices are theme changer, get help, preferences, and log out. It may be that your account may be set as a user type that doesn't have access to the site setup menu. We can follow up about that. I guess in the open part of the session. Okay. Let me check on that then. I believe what I had seen was that we were putting people in with administrator permissions, and so that's what I'm operating with right now. So it may be that your accounts have a more restricted permissions than that. Let me check with our development team and see what we were doing with that. I apologize for the confusion there. One thing I do want to note while we're on this drop down menu, so this Get Help button right here. So if you do use that, it'll take you directly to our help desk, and so this is kind of what it's more similar to the view that you'll get when you're coming to our help desk, and so it'll give you a view to look through our knowledge base and see kind of is there an article that'll help you out with what you're looking for, or you can go up here to say I want to create a new support ticket, which will open up a short form that'll just allow you to tell us what it is you're looking for help with, or again you can come into our forums and you can start a new topic or look through the topics that we have here. So just want to point that out. A favicon is, and I'm new to favicons also. It's this little thing up here on your on the browser tab. So right now that all of your sites will have a little B on there, and that's coming from the Bootstrap, which is it's a piece of the software that was used to build the sites, and I guess it integrates that favicon into your site. We've gotten some feedback from people wanting to change that. We're working on changing that to something more generic for the moment, and I've brought up to our development team that some people have been interested in being able to change that, and so we're seeing kind of what makes sense, what we can offer for that. So that's what that is. So one of the things that I know is I guess a first step is changing your site's theme, and that's a simple operation, and it'll be done through the same menu that we were just looking at. So when you go down to the menu that's behind your username, one of the other options you have is the theme changer. So when you go to that, it'll take you to this page, which is a little uglier because as it notes, this page will never be themed. So you're kind of like looking behind the covers here. And so right now we have a number of different options. They're not that different from each other at the moment because this is sort of a basic offering that we're starting out with, and as we go, we're going to be introducing more themes with a number of more variations. But to all right, insufficient privileges. All right, I will make note of that, and I will talk to our developers about that and see if we can get that fixed for you. So when we do get you access to the theme changer menu, you'll be able to come in here, and changing your theme is as easy as hitting the activate button on the one that you want. So you can see right now this SAS theme right here says active, and you can deactivate it, and that will just turn all the themes off, and you'll get a site that looks kind of like this. Or you can activate one of the other themes. So there's two theme families right now, the Metropolis and Slate ones, and then each of those right now has 3 different color variants. I've seen some testing internally of some additional color options, and we are going to be adding those. Again, we have a basic setup right now, but we're going to be expanding that as we go. So if I hit activate on here, it'll say theme enabled, and then I can go back home, and you can see that the site has changed, and the theme will change things like it styles the header of the page a little bit differently. You can see that the portlets on the sides look a little bit different. So again, this is not intended to be a drastically different theme. We just wanted to give a few different options for a different feel, and we'll be introducing more of those in the future. If you have any particular features you'd like to see in those new themes, we would love to hear about that from you, and a great place to do that is in the forums. So by all means, if you have any feedback on those or any things you'd like to see from them, then let us know. And I'll follow up with the team on that was doing the migration about kind of the privileges that we're setting so that you guys can get access to those and mess around with them. I apologize for the inconvenience there, for the confusion. One of the next basic things that you want to be able to do is to change your site's title, and so that's something that's going to control this name that you see up here. And again, I guess if you're having trouble with privileges on this theme changer, I assume that you'll also have trouble with the site title. So I do apologize for that. But I'll show you what it looks like so you can follow along, and then we can get your permissions fixed, and we can and you'll kind of be familiar with it when you get in there. So to change your site's title, you can go into this menu and go down to Site Setup, and then there's an option for this site, and your site title will be right here. So it's as simple as just typing in what you want and hitting save, and then you'll see it reflected up top here. And clicking on your site's logo will bring you back to the home page, no matter where you are. I'm just going to switch themes again to one of the Metropolis ones, just to give you all a little bit different feel. And so right now we're not able to change a lot about the site title, and that's something that we have heard a lot of feedback about, and I'm pushing on our development team to say, like, hey, I think that they're right. I think it would be a good idea for us to give people a lot more freedom about how that's styled, what that looks like. So I think we're working on that as a kind of high priority item, just because it's a simple thing, and I think that it would really, I think a lot of people would like to be able to change that more than we can right now. Right now, it's in a different font by theme, that it's in a static place, and so there's not a lot of variation that we can do with it right now. But hopefully we can get a change to that. Okay, and just to make sure that we don't lose that feedback anywhere, if you would, again, and I'm stressing this just because I do want to make sure that we're hearing you. If you want to go in, and I know we've already had some people in the forums ask about site titles and logo changes and stuff like that, and so if you want to go in there and just kind of add your 2 cents, then I'd really appreciate that, because it'll help us track that and make sure that we're responding to what you're asking for. And so sticking with the header and the top of the page, one of the other things that you'll see is the logo, of course, and so changing that right now is a little bit of a manual process, and so I'll walk you through that, just because I know it's something that everybody's going to want to do as soon as they get into their sites. So what you'll do is and the easiest way to do this is to just use the search bar up here. Is I'm going to look for a folder called Site Assets, and this is detailed in the article on how to change your logo. So I'm going to look for a folder called Site Assets, and I see this come up, so I'll bring up that search result, and then there within this folder, and this is a folder that's kind of meant as a repository for various kinds of things that you're going to use around your site. So there's two folders inside it, images and files, and they're generic. They're meant for you to be able to just throw stuff in there, and the intent there is that this is hidden from all the navigation setup, so you have to, you won't have visitors stumbling over it. But if you're someone who's working with the library, then you know it's there, so you can go and throw stuff in there and then use it around your site. So within this Site Assets folder, when I go to the Images folder, what you'll see is there's a couple of things in here right now, and one of them is a file called Site Logo. And if I click on that, you can see that that's the picture that we're seeing up here. And so this is how we're going to set the logo on our site, is to add it to this folder. So I can go back to my folder by clicking up here. And if say in this case I've already got a logo set, but I'm going to delete that just so I can show you the process as you'll be starting it. And so if you do want to delete something, the easiest way to do it, so I'll show you what I just did. So when you come into your folder, you're in this view mode, and then I can go right here to contents, and what that'll show me is it'll show me a list of all of the stuff that's in this folder that I'm in right now. And so again, I'm in the Site Assets Images folder. And so within that, I've got these three things. And so if I want to delete this site logo, I can just click on the checkbox next to it, and then I can come down here and I can click delete. And you can see that the logo has come back to the kind of default placeholder logo that you'll see on your site when you log into it. So from here, to add a site logo, and I'm sticking in the Contents tab, I can just go to this Add Files or Images button, and I can select something from my catalog of strange images. And so once you've selected something, it'll show up with the title and description available. So what you want to make sure of when you're adding a site logo is that you name it exactly this sitelogo.png. And so no matter what kind of image it is, as long as you name it this, it'll be okay. So I've named it sitelogo.png, and then I'll hit start, and you'll see it uploading. And then if I refresh the page, now you'll see I've got my new site logo here. And so if you add an image and it doesn't look like so I know that, and I know that's confusing. I'm talking to our team about that. It does not need to actually be in a PNG format. If you have a JPEG image or a GIF image or something, as long as you set the name when you're uploading it to sitelogo.png, then the site will say, "Oh, okay, that's my site logo," and it'll use it. So I know that's a little confusing, but I promise it works. So if you upload an image and it doesn't look the way you wanted it to, or you decide you want something else, rather than just going here and adding another file and calling it the same thing, you have two options. You can do what I did before, Yes, no matter what format it actually is, as long as you name it sitelogo.png, it will register as the logo. If it is not named that, then it won't show up as the logo. And so, I know we've had a lot of people kind of say like I'm trying to get my logo to show up and it's not. I don't know why. And so it's a manual process right now. And it's a little confusing. I do apologize for that, but that's something that we're looking to clean up in the near future. So hopefully we can this space limit for this site and the max size for the pic. So the max size for the logo is going to vary a little bit by theme. Some of the themes kind of compress the image down a little bit more. I know this one that I'm using is a high quality wrestling photo that I took, and so it's a very large one. So I'm glad that the site is compressing it down. But I believe if I activate a different theme here, you'll see it's slightly smaller. And so you get it. It's going to be about I forget the exact dimensions. I know what we've communicated before is about a 260 pixel width by a 100 pixel height. I believe is the guideline that we're setting. But you can use any size image, and it's going to resize it down to here. So to find that folder, I was searching for site assets, and that'll be detailed in this how to add or edit a logo. So you can see, click on, let's see. You can also use the search bar at the top of your page to find this folder, but the folder is always named site assets, and we've made sure that that's available on every one of your sites. You can see, what we said is the recommended size for a site logo is 260 by 100. And you can put in a larger image. This one is definitely larger than that, and it's being shrunk down to a size that works for the page. So I know I'm searching for site assets here to get there. One of the things you can also do is from your home page, you can go down to contents, and you'll be able to find the site assets folder in your folder there. So if you do upload an image and you want to change it for your logo, then you have two options. You can do what we did before, just check here and hit delete and then add a new one, or you can actually change the image without deleting it. So the way to do that would be, so you can click on it here, and it takes you to this beautiful image, and you go up to the Edit tab, and what that'll allow you to do is if you scroll down, you can see that you have an option to keep the existing image or replace it with a new image. And so I can say, replace this with new image, and then I'll choose a file. I'll say I want to use this different one, and notice you can see that it's a JPEG image and it's got a different name. But if I just hit save, even though all that's true, it still uploads, because again the file on the site as we've uploaded is still named sitelogo.png. Three branches. Can I put 3 pics? The logo is only going to accept one picture, so you can, if you wanted to put 3 pictures into it, you'd have to kind of put those together into one image file before you upload it. the data size limit for the pic, I think that I believe the upload this limit for a single file is 10 megabytes, and so I think that's going to be the constraint. As far as the overall storage size for your site, I'm not sure on that, but that's something that we can get back to you with if you want to, especially if you want to ask that question in the forums, or if you want to. And the only reason I ask that is because I can try to note these down while we're going through the presentation, but some of them might slip through my fingers, and so I want to make sure that I can catch all these and answer your questions. And yeah, so I know we've helped a lot of people with adding and changing their logos. So if you do have any trouble with that, since I know it's kind of a manual process, then just feel free to contact us. Log a ticket with us, and we'll help you out with it. So going down from our header section, and see, this is what I was talking about. Kind of just, a large image might distort it might affect other parts of your site. So I'm gonna change this one to something smaller so that it's a little bit more usable. You can see if you have too large an image, then it just becomes, you have to scroll down to see anything except the header every time. So I'm just going to put back the first one that I used here. All right, so that's better. And so yeah. So one of the next things that I want to point out is the top navigation menu. And so that's this menu right here that's just below your header. And so what this is going to do is this gives you a set of navigation links that will appear on every part of your site, every page that your users navigate to. They'll always see this navigation menu at the top of it. And so that'll help them navigate around the main sections of your site. And so where all these options come from is all of the folders that are created at the main level of your site. And so any folder, and you can see this is the little folder icon when you're in the contents view on a given section of your site, you can see these little folder icons. And so each one of these, if it's a folder that's in the top level, it's in the main part of your site, it'll show up here. And so one of the things that we recommend is kind of carefully curating which folders are added to the main part of your site, just so, because this navigation menu is just going to keep growing. No matter what folders you put in, they're going to get added here. So say, and I'll demonstrate what that can do. Say I want to add a new folder. I can go down to this Add New, and I'll click on Folder, and then I'm going to say this is, oh, look at that, I've already done this before. This is a folder with an incredibly long name that may distort the top navigation menu. So we recommend not doing what I'm doing. And then if I save that to add it, so you don't see it right now, and the reason for that is that when you create that folder, it's created in a private state, and what that means is that it's not available. You can only see it if you're a logged in user, which means if you're library staff, you'll be able to see it. But if I click on the state and I go down to publish, now you can see that this folder is showing up in the top menu, and it works, but it doesn't look great. So again, like what we recommend is that you kind of scrutinize what folders you really want to be included up here. And so if you don't want it to be included, you have a couple of you have a number of options. One, you can say keep this folder somewhere else. So if this folder was inside your hours and location section, because maybe it's something to do with that, then it's not going to show up here. Or if it's private, as it was when we first created it, then it also won't. And you also have an option to, if you go to any given folder and you want to hide it from your navigation menu, then you can go to this Edit tab right here, and then you can go to Settings, and there will be this Exclude from Navigation. And so if I check that and save it, you can see it's disappeared from the top menu. Now, you don't want to. I don't want to suggest that we should overuse that, because it'll also hide it from. It'll hide it from every navigation menu, and most sites are going to have a navigation menu that shows up on the left-hand side, and that's configurable. This is just a navigation portlet, which you can be added to any page on your site. But most libraries I've seen have had that as one of the main things they have on their front page is a navigation section like this. And so if you do choose to hide something from navigation as we just did, then it'll also hide it from that side navigation menu. So at that point, you have to know that it's there to be able to find it, and that's not always what you want to do. So I just recommend it is there. It is an option you can use, but I would be careful with using it too much. And this article on our help desk just kind of gives you, goes through some of this stuff and is making some suggestions about how you want to think about your top navigation menu. One of the main things being, if you can winnow down what's at the top level of your site and have just a single bar of options. One of the things that I do want to show you about this top navigation menu is if I make my browser window smaller, so you can see I've got my site logo shown big and pretty, and then my site title, and then down here I've got a search. I've got a search bar, and then the navigation menu is hidden, and I've got this little accordion button here, and if I click on that, it opens up the menu, and now you see again all of your navigation options that we saw listed out before. And so yes, it will work on tablets and phones, and that's what I want to show you about this, is that shrinking your browser, as I'm doing now, it will actually change some things about how your site is displaying. And one of those things is this accordion menu is kind of structured for phones and tablets. And this is, if you go to a whole lot of sites, whatever Gawker page or New York Times or CNN, whatever you want to go to, you'll see a lot of the time something very similar to this. And so when you shrink your browser down to a very small size, it actually the page sets itself into the same view that you would see on a phone or a tablet. So if you do want to test kind of what does my site look like to someone who's using one of those devices, the easiest way to do that is to just shrink your browser window. and it'll switch into the mobile view, which does look a little different. And you can see if I stretch this back out, then at some point it pops back, and now you've got your site the way it was looking before. And I can just, if I squeeze it down, then it goes back to the mobile view. Yeah, and so thank you. What that's referred to as a responsive design, and what that means is that the site is responding to the parameters of the device you're using to look at it. So the site, creepily enough, actually knows how large your screen is, or it doesn't know how large your screen is. It knows how large the browser window that you're looking at it in is. So, and it kind of says, like, once it's smaller than a certain size, like, I'm going to change some things about how I display. And so aside from this top navigation menu, one of the big things that changes, aside from just the, your content kind of shrinking sideways so that you don't have to scroll left to right, you just have to scroll up and down. One of the things you see there's a number of portlets along the sides. You can have, you have their library catalog and how do I and a calendar, and those are all configurable, of course, same as in your Plinkett site. When you shrink this down, so at full size, you've got them on the right and left-hand sides. But then when you shrink it down, we don't have room to display multiple columns of information. And so what happens is that those portlets drop down below your main content. So you can see that we've got our header, and then our navigation menu, and then our folder with an incredibly long name, everything that may be in that folder, and then you've got your library catalog, your how do I, and your calendar, and your upcoming events. All that stuff is down here under that. So that's a little preview of what your site will look like on a phone or a tablet. You're welcome to explore those. All right. So the next thing I want to show you is just a quick, and a lot of this should be familiar if you're familiar with using your Plinkett sites. A lot of this is your Ploud site is built on the same technology, so it should be very similar. Aside from the look of it, it should feel pretty similar. You're still adding pages to folders. You're still adding portlets to the sides of your sites, stuff like that. So this article that I'm showing you right now is just a refresher on publication states. Sorry, is it possible to copy and paste from Word? I believe so. I know that that's been mentioned and that's come up. I haven't been doing much of it myself, but I do believe that that's supported. If you do run into problems with that, let me know, or let us know rather. I'm not the only person here. You can log a ticket with us and we can fix that for you. But I do believe that that's supported. I'm sorry, I'm not more definite on that. My head's just been in other places for a little while, so I can't recall it off the top of my head. But this article is not necessarily telling you have to do anything. It's just kind of reminder that as you're getting oriented on your new site, you may or may not have changed anything on your old site recently. I know we have a lot of people who aren't as active, but as I can see from the number of people who have shown up today, you guys really care about your sites, and that's great. Just make sure that you're going through on your new site and looking at what in here is published in private. Is it set up the way I want it? Do I want to change anything about that? One easy way to do that is to let me go to my home first before I go anywhere. So is to go to your Contents tab And then from there, you can see that one of the things that we show you is the publication state of everything that's in that folder. So most of this stuff is published, and then we have a previous welcome page. We don't really want to show that, so it makes sense that that's private. So just kind of going through the main sections of your site and looking at what's published and what's private, and just making sure that everything is still the way you want it. I know we had a few things that flipped during the migration of your content from your old site to your new site, and so we do want to, while everything should be correct, it's something that we would encourage you to look through as you're getting familiar with your new site. And so I've been keeping images and folders under the tab where they're used, but hiding them from navigation. Is that an okay practice? Yes. One of the things I don't remember. I'm sorry for not having this memorized better at the moment. I don't remember if we can hide images individually from navigation. Here, I'm going to check and see if I can find that real quick. Okay, we do. So you can, yeah. You can hide individual. So one of the things that has changed on the new sites is that images don't have their own publication states. So you'll notice I'm looking at an image file right now, and there's no state field here. So what's going to happen with those is that they inherit the publication state of the container they're in. So basically, if you're in a folder that's private, then your image is going to be private. And so that leads to one of the things that you may see when you first log into your site, which, and I know I've seen this on a number of sites, that when you go to your site and you're going as an anonymous non-logged in user, you'll see a bunch of things that look like they're broken images, and then you log in and those images show up correctly. And so what that means is those are in a private folder, and they're registering as private, and people who are visiting the site can't see them. What we have, and that's one of the reasons why we have this sort of hidden site assets images folder, is it's a published folder, but it's hidden. So you're able to add images here that can be seen and used throughout the site, and they'll be able to be seen by any anonymous visitor. So if you have been hiding your images folders, that may not work the way you want it to in this system, and I would encourage you to check anything that you are adding to your site. I would encourage you to check what it looks like when you're not logged in as well as when you're logged in, because some things may look different. And that's a note that we have here in this published versus private thing. Yeah, I mean, excluding from navigation should be fine. If you're hiding those image folders, and as long as they're published, then that they'll still work. And that's what we're doing with this site assets folder. But if you have another folder where you want to keep that, or if you have individual folders within your different sections of your site where you're doing that, if that's the way you're organizing things, then that'll work fine. Just as long as the folders the images are in are published, then the images will show up correctly. So the next thing we have on our checklist is checking for broken images. There's a couple of different ways that those can appear on your site, and the first one on here is what we were just talking about, is images that are in private folders won't show up for non-logged in users. one of the other things that can happen is on some sites, some of the images didn't import correctly. So they are still there, they're just not showing up right now. And so there's steps that we've added to make that easier. And so what you'll see is you're logged in and you see a broken image link. And I think we have, yes, I have some on this site that I'm using. So, and I'll show you real quick how to fix those. So if you're logged in and you're on a page where you see a broken image, then you can go up to your edit bar, and then you'll have a text editor, which I can scroll down until I find that image that I want to fix. And if I click on that, you can see that it changed these buttons. And so what this is an insert edit link button and an insert edit image button. And you may, I know that your text editor looked a little bit different in Plinkett than it does here. You should have all the same features. They're just the interface, the look and feel of the interface has changed a little bit. But yeah, all the same features. So if I click on this, both of these change state, and this is a remove link button that goes along with this one, and that just indicates that this is basically an image that if you click on it, it'll take you somewhere. So this image is broken. I want to fix that. So I'll go to this insert edit image button, and it'll bring up a dialog. And so if I go to this external image here, what this is showing me is, okay, when we migrated this, it thought this was an external image, even though it's something that we had on our site that we were linking to. So to fix this, you can see down here in the alternative text, it has a name. So I can just take that and put it into the search bar, and it comes up with the image I was looking for. And so I can just click on that to select it, and then hit insert, and now my image is showing up. And so I have another one down here, this Learning Express. And when I look at this external image tab, I see that it's got a name, and I see after it says image mini. So what that tells me to do is when I look for my learningexpress.png, I find that, and then under size, we have a couple of predefined sizes that your image can use. And I'll open that up, and I see, okay, there's a choice for mini, and that means 200 by 200 pixels. All of these numbers are in pixels. So I'll select that and hit insert, and then both of my images are showing up now. And if I hit save, it'll take me back to the page that I was editing. And I can scroll down, and now I see those showing up correctly. So I just wanted to demonstrate that if you do see broken images, then a couple of things that you can look for are either it's in a private folder, or there is a mistake during the migration of your site that you can fix easily through the text editor. And so I'm running a bit behind where I meant to be, and so I'll touch on some of these topics. But if you need to drop off, I understand. I apologize for running down. But I will say at this point, if you look on our help desk, one of the things we have recordings of all of our webinars, all of our live sessions, and one of the things that we have here, aside from those recordings, is an article on upcoming sessions. And right now, what we've got coming up is a bunch of open sessions, and what those are is they're Q&A sessions, basically, where if you're having trouble with something, or if you need more explanation, you want to walk through, or you just want to talk to somebody about something you're seeing or you're frustrated with, I'll be available at various times throughout the week to just be on the line for anybody who wants to show up and ask a question. So that's what those sessions are for. So if there's anything that I haven't touched on here, or if there's anything that you would like me to go through slower, or you have a special case that you want to work through, anything like that, I invite you to come to one of those open sessions and yeah, talk to me and tell me kind of how, let me know what you're seeing and what kind of help you're looking for. The admin privileges thing, I'll try to get that to you sometime today, hopefully this morning. Hopefully I can ask the guys as soon as we get it out of this meeting, and I can find out what's going on there. And it may just be a miscommunication on my part. I'll get back to you today on what's going on there. So these last couple topics, broken links, portlets, recurring events, missing collections, these are kind of all focused on content that may have migrated incorrectly from your old site. And so one of the things that you may see when you go onto your site is you may see, instead of something like this Oregon authors portlet showing up correctly, you may just see a box that has nothing in it, or you may see a broken link inside of it, or something like that. And so there's help available on how to check and modify your portlets. And just I'll show you generally, if you do want to change anything on the left and right hand sides of your page, the place you'll go for that is if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of any page, you'll see this Manage Portlets button. And when you click on that, it'll take you to the portlet management screen for that page. And that will allow you to do things and to change any of those sections of your site. So you can see that on the left-hand side, we've got a navigation portlet and an Oregon authors portlet, which here's your navigation, here's your Oregon authors portlet. On the right side, we have a location and hours portlet, a calendar, and an upcoming events. And on the portlet management screen, you can see those listed out here. And so anytime you click on one of those titles, it'll bring you to the editor for that specific portlet. And this is a static text one, which means that you can edit the text directly of what you're seeing in there. And you can also add a portlet to either side of your page through this drop down here. And there's all sorts of different ones. Those different kinds of portlets, there's additional information about a bunch of different ones in the knowledge base. And so there's stuff on what a collection portlet is and how to add it, what an RSS portlet is and how to add that. So there's information there that's more specific about each of these things. I won't go over that right now, but we can definitely review that in a future session if that's something that people are interested in. Another thing that I want to touch on is recurring events. So I know that a lot of you have things like various clubs and reading circles and stuff like that meet at your libraries. And so you have events that you've set up on your calendar that are happening on a regular basis. And so those, while we do have, and you can see on this calendar, we've brought over your events, but we were not able to keep the settings for how often those events recur. And so you'll have to go through and reset those up. I apologize for the inconvenience of having to do that. But so the way you would do that is under your news and events folder, you'll have your library calendar, and that will be, so you'll see something like this, and each of these dots represents a different event that's happening on that day. And so on a new or existing event, what you can do is while you're editing that event, if you scroll down to near the bottom of it, you'll see something that says recurrence. And right now this doesn't have anything set up, but you can click add and it'll bring up a dialog that allows you to set kind of how often this is happening. Is it daily, monthly, weekly, yearly? And then when does it happen until? And as you change these options, you'll see the dates right here change. You can remove specific ones if you want to. And then when you hit save, then you'll see that your recurrent settings update. And when you save that, you can see in your event information, it'll list out what dates it's happening on. And if I go back to my library calendar, I'll see that that dot right there has changed from a blue one to a yellow one, and you can see up here in the legend here that a blue event is a single event, a yellow one is a repeating one, a red one is one that takes place all day, and then a purple one is a repeating event that takes place all day. So that's kind of a brief introduction to the calendar on here. If you do want to add a new event while you're on your calendar, you can just go to your add new and add an event, and you'll see the same form that we were just looking at with the one that we were modifying. So I want to touch on the changing your site's URL real quick, because I know I'm over time here, and this is something that I know has come up for a lot of people. It's something that everybody's going to want to do. Is it possible to change one repeating event without a lot of trouble? Do you mean one occurrence of that repeating event, or do you mean one event that recurs, change that and have it change everything in that one occurrence? Well, let me see how easy that is. The rotating image, the carousels are not currently active. We're working on getting that to you. But for the moment, I know I've seen at least one user on another site actually insert some JavaScript to get a carousel on one of his pages. I don't really know the stuff that he was messing with, but it worked. But we do have support for carousels, but it's not active yet, and we will be bringing that up in the near future. I don't have an exact schedule for it, but I will make note of that and follow up with our developers and see if I can get you a date on that. So as far as changing in single events within your recurrence, I don't think that there's an easy way to do that. If that's something that you want to be able to do, then that's I would recommend that you bring that to us in the help desk, and we can work out kind of what that needs to look like, what we need to be able to support, and hopefully we can get you something that'll work for you. So I do want to touch on changing your URL, since I know it's something that everybody will need to do. Right now your sites are going to be your name.ploud.net. And while we like that because it advertises us, I know you've got your URLs that you're already pointing to your Plinkett sites, and so we do have a couple of articles on the help desk to help you figure out what to do with that. And so what it's basically a two-step process. Well, yeah, because you should already have a custom domain for your old site. And so what you would do is, first, if you have a URL that you know you're going to want to point at your new Ploud site, then you'll log a ticket with us in the help desk and say, hey, we need this site to point to our Ploud site. And so we'll configure that on our end. And while we're doing that, you'll need to go to your domain registrar, someone like GoDaddy or whoever you bought your URL from. Network Solutions is another one I know that a lot of people have gone through. And change the setup for that URL so that instead of pointing at your Plinkett site, it now points at your Ploud site. And the instructions on here kind of give you a little bit of information on what that process should entail. It's going to be different depending on who your domain host is. So we'll do what we can to help you on that. I know we've had some people have had problems with it, depending on who they're going through for their hosting, and so we'll try and help you work that out. But there's some of it's going to be wrangling with those folks. So, and again, you know, I apologize for going over time a little bit. But that's kind of an introduction to the topics that we want to show you about your new site. There's a couple of things that I haven't gone over, checking broken links and recreating missing collections. Let's see, if you want to look through those articles and if you have any questions about those, we can do a session to review those in the near future. But you should be able to get most of your site configured the way you want it with the stuff that we've gone over. Can we leave the title field for our site blank and incorporate it? You can do that, and I know a number of people have. The downside of that is that the site title is used by web searches. And so if you don't have a site title, it's going to make it a little bit harder for people to find your site. So because of that, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we're working on doing is adding more customizations to that site title field, including being able to hide it so that you can keep your site title so that people can search for it easily, but you don't have to see it the way we're doing it. So we're working on getting that to you. I apologize for the kind of having that set in stone for the moment. I know that we've heard some frustration around that. So yeah, with that, if anybody wants to hang on for a few minutes and ask questions about the stuff that we've gone over, you're welcome to. I'll be available for a little while longer. And for everybody else, we welcome you to come into the forums, log tickets, look around in the knowledge base, attend the open sessions that we have in the upcoming weeks. If none of those times work for you, please let me know if there is a time that does work, and I'm happy to conduct sessions at times other than the ones we have listed. I just kind of set those ones out as defaults. And so again, a recording of this session will be available under the webinar recording section of our knowledge base. And thank you all for coming out. So I'll turn people's mics back on, and you're welcome to ask questions either over audio or in the chat. And I'll try to get some of them before we sign out. So yeah, thank you all for coming out, and welcome to Ploud. All right, so if anybody has any questions, I do have your mics unmuted, so I should be able to hear you if you have anything that you want to throw out there.
Hi. I like Aaron's question.
Is there a way to set a page to be the default opening page for a folder so that when you click on the folder name in the top navigation, it automatically opens that page? Okay, yeah, I apologize for not going over that in more detail. I meant to, and then I lost it. So in the top navigation, what you'll see is whenever you click on one of the titles, the first thing that's in there is something that says the folder name and then home.
Click
And
away.
when you click on that, it'll take you to that folder. So, and that it'll take you to whatever view you have for that folder. And so, one of the things that you can do is change what you see when you go to a given folder. You can do that through the display menu. And so, in the About Us folder on this site, I'm looking. So, when I click on display, it says item About Us. And so what that means is that there's a page within this folder that I'm setting as the default view and that people will see when they navigate to it. And so there's a bunch of other options that kind of show you different things. I'll show you. So if I go to the tabular view, then when you go to this folder, you'll see something like this. But if you want to set a page within that folder as what you'll see whenever you navigate to it, then in the display menu, you can go down to select a content item as default view. And it'll give you a list of pages that are inside that folder. Right now, in this folder, we only have one page, so it's selected here. So if I select that and hit save, then whenever I navigate to this folder, it'll take me to that page, and you can put whatever information you want in there. So does that answer your question?
Answers mine. That's great.
Well,
I like it.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Is there a good place? I don't know. Let me Google that, and if I can find something that's easy and convenient, I will add that to the article on the knowledge base for setting your logo, because that would be a good resource. You're right.
You guys were out there in the flower bed last night? And there's a bunch of the mulch on the sidewalk. Full of red things.
Yeah. Thank you for your question, and thank you for attending. If our URL is mishlibrary.org, we don't need to worry about it. Right. So you will be able to keep your mishlibrary.org URL. All you'll need to do is whatever company you're buying that URL through, you'll need to go to your setup for them and reconfigure it. So right now it's pointing at your plinkett.org site, and you'll need to change it to point at your ploud.net site. And you don't need to do that right away. You can think of kind of all your okay. So Michigan pays for this. We'll put it. Okay. Well, that works too. Yeah. If anybody's not speaking up, if you could mute your microphone, that would be helpful. But yeah. So and as Sonia said, because you guys have a blanket organization helping you out with that, then they'll be able to help take care of that for you. Is there a description of each of the themes that tells us different? I don't think there is, but it's easy to click through and like activate each of them and look around. But I can, one of the things I can do, and I'll make a post-it note for myself right now, is to go and write up descriptions of the differences between the themes, just for reference. Sorry. What is the best theme for viewing on a smartphone? So the intent, and one of the reasons we only have a couple of themes available right now is that we're trying to be as friendly to different sizes of device as we can. So we've been a little slow ramping up like the choices. but all of them should be agreeable for using on your phone. And the differences between them are pretty small right now. And so all of them are going to kind of have a similar look with a slightly different feel. And if you select a theme, activate it on your site, and then just shrink your browser down, then you'll be able to see kind of what it'll look like on a phone if you don't have a phone handy to look at it on. So that's you can test those out and see which one is most to your liking. As far as when you want to update your domain records, we've been leaving that up to individual libraries, just because your Ploud.net site is live, but so if anyone goes to your library's Ploud.net site, they'll be able to see it. But as far as going to your library site, at mishlibrary.org or wherever it's hosted, that's going to keep pointing to your Plinkett site until it's switched over. So there's kind of a buffer period where you'll be able to make changes to your Ploud site, get it looking the way you want it, and then once it's ready for you, you say, okay, I like it. I'm ready for this to be the one that people are looking at. Then at that point, you can change your domain record. Sandra, I'm not sure about that yet, but I'm gonna try to get y'all an answer to that as soon as I can today, and hopefully we can get your permissions changed very quickly. Let's see, we don't absolutely have to do it on July 31st. We can do it when we're ready. As far as I know, the only thing that I would check up on is I don't know about whether there's a deadline for, and maybe Sonia can answer this, if there's a deadline for the hosting of the Plinkett.org sites. Okay, so yeah, the old sites will no longer be there after July 31st. So at that point, if your domain record hasn't been changed, then your site's just going to go nowhere. So we would encourage you to do it before then, I guess. Can we add a banner for a theme with a plain one, or change the banner on the theme that comes with the background there? Yes, there is. So the Slate themes. There's 3 different color variants of it. Have a background image, and on that you're able to change that image. And there's an article on the help desk that's changing your site's header image. And that will describe for you how to do that. Again, sort of like the site logo, it's a manual process right now. I'm encouraging our developers very strongly to put a more user-friendly process around it. So we're going to try to roll something like that out soon. But for the themes that don't have a background image, there's no way to add one right now. That may be something that for additional themes that we bring in will be an option. So, and if that's something that you would be interested in, I would encourage you to add reply in the forums, just saying like, hey, this is something I want, just that we have it there, and it's easier for us to track, I guess, that's something that people are requesting. All right, the Michigan e-library widgets and how to add them. Yes. Where did I put that? It's somewhere in here. So you can search the, let's see, what did I call that? Okay. So yeah, so I know that there's a couple of e-library widgets that are a part of y'all's sites right now that you'll want to be able to add. And so there's an article on the help desk about adding those pieces on here, and attached to that article are the actual text, the code that you'll have to add, and instructions on how to add that to a page. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I had forgotten that I'd forgotten that I had done that. So I've got a few more minutes to answer any other questions that we have. Uh, and thank y'all so much for the feedback that y'all are giving us. It's great to hear from the people who are using the sites. You know, we're building them, we're making sure they work for you, but we you know we don't have the perspective that you're bringing into it. And so anything you can tell us about what experience you're having helps us improve the experience for you. Is there a widget for the weather? No. That's something that right now you'd have to find and throw in a portlet you're on your own. But if you're trying to do that and you're having trouble with it, then that's something that we may be able to help you with. And so I would, if you want to log a ticket or start a forum discussion saying like, hey, I want something on my site that does this. Like, what would you suggest I do for that? Can we get some guidance around that? There's a number of different things that we can do to help you out with that.
Guys, there's other chairs in there. So if you could use those and not take the chairs from the computers, because that way there's no chair for somebody who wants to use the computer. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? All right. Well, if that's it, then again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you for asking your questions. Thank you for listening to me. And this a recording of this webinar will be posted shortly on the help desk for anybody who wants to relive the experience. And we look forward to hearing from you again in a variety of ways. And yeah, so welcome to your new sites, and welcome to Ploud, welcome to Infold, and we look forward to hearing from you. So thanks, everybody.